Your seats, and let's connect in the Eifen of Hakhel. Esam Hanoshim Vanoshim V'Ataf. Today's Hakhel is a very special Hakhel that we gather together in honor of Hakhel on a day intended for Hakhel. And the Rebbe's Hayra was that we should make Hakhels throughout the year, especially at least once a month. And Baruch Hashem, the opportunity that we have over here that was put together to this Hakhel is 3 months in a row. So now it's the Chazaka Baruch Hashem of Hakhels. As a given Sivan, Tammuz, and Chodesh of Kapital at many other places. But how special it is, Dafke, in a Menachem Chodesh, and for the ganze Shchona to gather together. So please find your seats and let's welcome everybody to be seated. Tonight's event has been sponsored by Reb Shmuley Cohen, Lila Nishmas, Reb Moshe ben David, and Reb Meir ben Yosef, and Reb Yosef ben Meir. Tonight also the Shloma for Atam and Baruch ben Yamin ben Rachel Blima, the Shloma B'Ramach Evarav V'Shtagidav, as well as tonight's event is sponsored in connection to Mazal Tov, to Rabbi Shlomi Greenwald, and the birth of a baby girl. So first of all, Chassidim, please, let's get into the mode. L'chaim, everybody, l'chaim, and lois nutz in the Hakhel, a gute Sachen, l'chaim v'bracha. Learning today's chitas and connecting to Hakhel, there's a pasuk that speaks clearly the word Hakhel. Where in today's Chumash do you find the word Hakhel? The pasuk says that Vayitan Hashem Elai Shnei Luchos Ha'avonim Ksuvim be'etzba lekim ba'aleim and anit kechol advarim asher dibar Hashem imachem bahar mitoch ha'esh b'yoim hakahol b'yoim hey kuf hey lamed. So exactly what was it? It was the day Hashem gave us the two luchos written with the finger of Hashem be'etzba lekim, and on it is all the words that Hashem told us on the mountain mitoch ha'esh b'yoim hakahol. So how important it is that today's Chita speaks about the day of Hakhel, and we gather together in an Eifen of Anoshim, Noshim, V'Taf, that all of us to be able to connect in this special day. Today's day is not only the day as special it is, but it's Megalgal's Chus Yom Zaka, and the very special thing is the very fact that from tonight, today by Mincha, there was no Tachnun. And the reason why today by Mincha there was no Tachnun, because it says in the Gemara that Lo Yehayu Yomim Tovim LiYisrael Kachamisha Asabah V'Chayim HaKippurim, how special of a day it is, and how special of tonight's evening that we're going to be celebrating tonight a Hakhel on a very special day. As going into a very special time, as it says, there was no greater Yom Tif. Now we all know what it means to have a good Yom Tif. Simchas Beis HaSheva, in Shchunas HaMelech, in Crown Heights, in the Rebbe's Dal Rames, on Purim, Adala Yoda, but the Rebbe says in the Sikha, as Lo Yehayu Yomim Tovim LiYisrael Kachamisha Asa B'Av is given, I feel aggressive from Purim, greater than Purim. It was greater than Simchas Torah, Lo Yehayu Yomim Tovim LiYisrael Sinish given. So this is the greatest Yontif and how special it is. So let's utilize the opportunity that we're getting into this mode. We'll start with a Kapital Tehillim. We're going to ask a Chayil and Sivas Hashem. Talmud Moshe Elia Gerlitsky to say the Rebbe's Kapital Kuf Chav Beis. Everyone please rise.
Shema was zo dat we te maagd wij hebben bezig aan de nee weg. En dan zei ik weet niet, beetje rijk, Yeshua. Yeshua, hebben nu je keertje, we gaan jacht op. Ze zijn maar beschreven, ja, het is Israël, het is Shema Dinai. Kishama Yashua Chisses, een misbruik, Chisses, wees David. Shaus van Yeshua, Revaya, Yeshama Yeshama Shama Messiah. Menachem Adabna Shalom. Man bezig naar Wakshat Evach. Ik ga dan een benen maken, zeg even wat. Ik ga dan een benen maken, zeg even wat. Chia, the name of Ben Mach, Mashiach,
Thank you very much.
Eine von diesen Slobber ist, aber Schasser und gefunden nach Sehne, was sie werden bei sich verschreiben, oder der Tag Berlin nicht. A Pläne beim Pläne hat auf sich genommen, als Returnen in Untitled Chapter, und Taub, also lechet mäßig sein in der Ruf. A Möglichkeit, man soll kommen mit einem noch in Verbindung, und a Schutz vernehmen die Zeit, auf Unionen, was man konnte sich nutzen, auf eine bessere Sache und eine nötigere Sache. Wenn der Gehel in Unionen eben beschlossene Sorgen wissen, wurde von der Reis, ist gedei, jeder soll reintragen, ein Kartel, a welches ist ein angeschrieben, Schmei wie Schemime oder Schmo wie Schemime. Und zusammen damit, was sie kommen mit ihm in Verbindung, Kedei soll mehr haben, oder Kedei soll können mit dir sein, das hat getan. Danach gibt es wohl seiner Sehne, was soll nach Dorf Maskim sein. Soll nicht mit dieser durchreden, aber bald am Wort jenem Telefon, sie gibt ihre Schuss, a Pam Bachedisch, במשך ושנס Hakhel, die 12 Chodesh, soll der Mensch, was hat die Karteln, das habe ich gesagt, sollten ihm Geld. Ich nehme soll noch ein bisschen Geld, kedei soll anklingen, Pam Bachedisch, lechol echet wachas, von die, was haben auch gegeben, die Karteln, und fragt und der Mann a jeder Chodesh hat sich Eiles Chodesh bechotschei, und sie kedai, aber chol apoches Pam Bachedish, soll echt an a Piyula shel Hakhel, ki meduber lehin, a kol shon il Hakhel ruch nizmanihu, al kol ponim achas Bachedish, Pam Bachedish, b'meshach kol shnas Hakhel.
Today's Hakhel is going to be a Hakhel, Toida, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, a Vart. Of course, we heard the Rebbe's Sicha, and we heard the Kapital. We said a Kapital Tillim. There's going to be one of the Kinus Hakhel Tzivos Hashem. We're going to be going around giving out matbeis for Tzedakah, and you'll be able to give it into Tzedakah. We have a very big honor and zchus of a very special guest, Mashpia in Crown Heights, and Dean of a very successful, of the Mochin Leyados, of the girls program, running for many, many, many years. And we're going to ask Harav Shlomo Majeski to please speak to us in the inyan of today's connection of the Hakhel connecting to the Geula Hamitas Vashlema. Please give your attention to Rabbi Majeski. We ask the Kindalach, please find your seats quietly. Please, you're going to get tickets. There's going to be raffles, but we need everyone to please be seated. Shh.
When we talk about Hakhel, there's two inyanim in Hakhel. One inyan, on the surface, we're doing something to remember what was done in the past, in the Beis HaMikdash. Like many other things that we do, that their purpose is Zecher LeMikdash, to remember what was done in the Mikdash, which is very precious to us. The Rebbe emphasizes more the future, the near future, that having a Hakhel together, in that zchus that we all gather together in the spirit of Hakhel, the Eibishter does Mida Keneged Mida, Kemayim Aponim El Aponim, so that Eibishter will give us the zchus that we'll have the third Beis HaMikdash, and we'll be able to have Hakhel in the third Beis HaMikdash once again, on the Yont of Sukkos. There's also another inyan, and that is that when Mashiach comes, with Yamad Zayin Kol Godel Yeshuvu Heina, not just on Sukkot. The whole idea of Mashiach is that are gathered together all the Yidden from all over the world, and they'll be united as one kohol. And not only all the Yidden of the whole world, but ultimately there'll be Tchias HaMeisim, and all the millions and millions and billions of Yidden from all the previous generations will all come together, and we'll have the biggest kohol, the biggest hakel ever in history, and that's all in the schus of us doing the hakel now. By us uniting in a way of Agdus, will bring that ultimate hakel. It's known that in the recent years, especially in Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, the Rebbe spoke about Mashiach in a very unusual way. The Rebbe said things which were out of the ordinary, words that we never heard before. The Rebbe himself once, speaking about the imminence of the third Beis HaMikdash, expressed himself by saying, "Sevil derei," these words are wild. These are words that were never, ever heard in the history of Klal Yisrael. One of those words was Tavshin Nun Aleph, the Sikh of Matos Maseh. The Rebbe then said, the reason why we emphasize Ahavas Yisrael, in fact, all the years, whenever the Rebbe spoke about Ahavas Yisrael, the Rebbe said the reason why it's so essential is because the whole Siba, the cause for the Golus, was the opposite. There was Sinas Chinam, Kamsa Bar Kamsa. So therefore, if you eliminate the cause, then you also eliminate the result of that. So if we eliminate the Inyan, which is the opposite of Ahavas Yisrael, then we eliminate the Golus and we bring the Geula. That is the way you will see it. You look back years and years of Sichas, the Rebbe always explained it. In this Sicha, the Rebbe said something new. And the Rebbe said, now, it's no longer in order to be Mesaken the cause of the Golus. Why not? Because it's already Mesuk, everything is already corrected. And therefore, it's not about correcting the inyan of Sinas Chinam, but it's about bringing ourselves to be in the mindset of Geula, and not just the mindset, but to recognize that the process of Geula has already begun, and in Geula, the Yechidah, which is the spark of Mashiach in every person, is revealed, and from that perspective, from the Yechidah, which is the essence of our neshama, all Yidden are equal, all Yidden are one, and therefore naturally we're all one, and there's no room for anything which is the opposite of Ahavas Yisrael. On the surface, these words are shocking. The Rebbe is saying there's nothing to correct in the area of Ahavas Yisrael. But the answer to this is similar to another question, where the Rebbe says in many sichas that all the Aveda has been completed. And the Aveda of Tshuva has also been completed. All we need to do now is just be Mekabel Mashiach. What does it mean everything is completed? What does it mean the Aveda of Tshuva is completed? The Rebbe himself explains it, that every person has, in a sense, two identities. One identity, which is their personal identity, who I am as an individual. And the other identity is that all Yidden together are part of one collective neshama, one collective identity. And that's the difference. Throughout all the years, everything we went through, all the suffering that Yidden went through throughout all the years of Golus, all the Torah that was studied throughout all the years of Golus, all the words of Torah, all the words of Tefillah, all the actions, Maisa HaMitzvahs, acts of kindness and good deeds, everything from all these generations, millions and millions and millions of people, and nothing got lost from all the good that was done, not one iota. So there's an accumulation of infinite good. And from that perspective, we, as a collective identity, are complete. We are worthy of Geula. Everything is corrected. We don't need to do more tshuva. And there's nothing to correct in sinas chinam because it was all corrected already. The fact that an individual, on a personal level, has something that's lacking doesn't minimize in any way the perfection of all of us in this collective identity that we're all one and all complete. But then the question is, if there's nothing to correct in Abbas Yisrael, then why is it need to be emphasized now? So this, the Rebbe explains, because when Mashiach comes, the spark of Mashiach in every Yid will be revealed, which is the Yechidah, the essence of the Neshama, and that is the part of the Neshama that from that part we're all equal, we're all one. Just to explain this a little bit more clearly, the Rebbe in a Sikha once told a story that the Alter Rebbe heard from Rebbe Zusha, that he heard from his brother Rebbe Elimelech, that one night the Mezritcha Maggid said to Rebbe Elimelech, Herr Melech, which means listen to what they say in the heavenly yeshiva, that one should love a Rasha Gomor just like a Tzaddik Gomor. And the Rebbe explains this is more than what the Baal Shem Tov said. In the times of the Baal Shem Tov, what was mainly happening was that people were being mezalzel. They looked down in a condescending way, disrespected the Anoshim Pshutim, the simple Jews. And the Baal Shem Tov taught that Abbas Yisrael is not limited only to people who have great qualities. Even people that in our eyes appear to be simple, they should be loved, they should be respected. And not only that, in many ways they're even greater than some Torah scholars. To give an example of a story which is found in a Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the Baal Shem Tov was once sitting by the table with his Talmidim, and they saw that the Baal Shem Tov is not in that uplifted spirit as he usually is. These were his Talmidim, which were his sort of inner circle, Chavraya Kadisha, great tzaddikim. They tried to do everything to lift the Baal Shem Tov's spirit, make him more besimcha. Nothing they did helped. All of a sudden, a simple Jew walked in. His name was David. And the Baal Shem Tov's face lit up. And he called him over. He gave him some wine from his wine. He gave him challah. And the Baal Shem Tov, everything was transformed. And the Talmidim were very confused. They couldn't understand, how is it that here all these great tzaddikim are sitting by the table. They're doing whatever they know to do to make the Baal Shem Tov besimcha, and it's not helping. Obviously, there must be a reason. And yet, this simple Jew, David, walks in, and the Baal Shem Tov becomes transformed. He knew what their thoughts were, so he called them in. He called this Rabbi David and sent him on a mission. Sent him on to go leave the room and go somewhere. Gave him an errand. And then he told the Talmidim, you know who this person is? And he told the story. There are more details of how he had sort of Mesiras Nefesh to collect penny by penny to buy a Muhudadik Esrog. And he had to travel far to get it. When he finally got the Esrog, he came home, he was very excited. He showed it to his wife. And she asked him, where did you get money to buy such a beautiful Esrog? And he said he saved it up. And she was very upset. We don't have money for the children, for bread, for eggs, for essential foods, and you go spend money on esrog. She lost her temper and got so angry, and she bit off the pitum and made the esrog puzzle. What was his reaction? He said, she's probably right and probably don't deserve to have such a beautiful esrog. The Baal Shem Tov said that the tainug l'mayla in Shamayim that they had from the fact that he contained himself and didn't lose his temper was a pleasure that the Eibishter didn't have since the day of Akedah, when Avraham Avinu contained himself and was ready to do the Akedah with Yitzchak. This is the greatness of this simple Jew. But the Mazir Maggid added something more. To love a Rasha Gomer like a Tzaddik Gomer. It reminds me of the words of the Frierdiker Rebbe. There was one sitting by the table, and there was a lot of pushing. And someone noticed that the table is pushing against the Frierdiker Rebbe, and they began to scream, "Stop pushing!" He said in Yiddish, "Ir kvetch dem Rebbe," which means you're pressing against the Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe immediately said, "A Yid doesn't press, doesn't make me uncomfortable." And even the Shpalerka, when we know, unfortunately, it was a Jewish boy told the Frierdiker Rebbe and threatened him that within 24 hours he's chas v'sholem going to do what he was planning to do. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, even then, when he said those words, the Yid in him had minish gekwetscht. Which means the love for someone like that, just like to Tzaddik Gomer. There's a video where you see someone, Freyden, the one who was a photographer, walked over to the Rebbe, and he spoke about a certain group of people, and he said they're anti-Yiddishkeit, and he said they're the same kind of people like the Yevsektia, that you knew them good and well in Russia. And the Rebbe immediately broke into a smile and said, "Them shalaying tshuva. If you think a little bit of who they were, what they did to Yidden Bechlal, Rabbanim, Shochtim, what they did to the Frierdiker Rebbe in particular." And the Rebbe said, with a smile, "Them shem tshuva giton," because the love, even for such a person, is like the love to a Tzaddik Gomer. The Alter Rebbe said something more than that. They added in kamus, in quantity, not only love these kind of Jews, but even simple Jews. Not only simple Jews, but even the Rasha Gomer. The Alter Rebbe added something new in eichus, in the quality of the love. That the love should be like self-love, like the love of a brother, a love that's beyond seichel, beyond logic. It's just natural that one Yid loves another Yid. There's not even a thought otherwise. Question is, how could we expect to live on such a level, especially now before we have the complete Gula, Amidas Vashlema? But Chassidus teaches us that there's garments of Machshava, Dibur, and Maisa. Yes, in our hearts it's very hard to have that strong feeling, but practically we can live that way. To do everything that we can to help another Yid, and not to do something chas v'shalom which would be hurtful. To speak in a way that would make others feel good, and not chas v'shalom to say anything hurtful. And even in thought, not to allow a thought that's the opposite of good about another Yid to be present in my mind, as if I don't even see a fault. I don't allow it to be there. And that's the way that we can actualize this level of Ahavas Yisrael, the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. And this is the difference. When you have Ahavas Yisrael because you want to make a tikkun for sinas chinam, means you're acknowledging there was things that were bad, and we need to correct it, and now we're correcting it. The Ahavas Yisrael, the way the Rebbe wants it to us be now, and the way it will be when Mashiach is, there's no bad, we don't even think about the past, and there's nothing that we need to correct. We're just enjoying and experiencing natural love for every Yid, because on the level of our essence, we're all one. And of course, this is the way we should conduct ourselves to every person, to our friends, to our spouses, to our students, to our children, and so on. I want to add and conclude that there's another advantage. Well, the Rebbe once said that when we act a certain way, Hashem acts the same way towards us. If by us in our mind, we don't allow the thought of someone else's negativity even to be present in my mind, the same is with Hashem. Not only there's no inyan of chas v'sholom opposite, but he doesn't even see anything negative on Yidden. And there's another thing that Rebbe once said. I remember it was one of the wars in Eretz Yisrael, and the Rebbe said that the enemy is in shock and overwhelmed just by seeing who he's fighting against. Because when Yidden go to war, it's not just the Yidden that are in the army. It's all of Klal Yisrael and all the Yidden that lived from all the previous generations, which means they see an army of millions and billions of people coming at them. And that alone is enough of a reason of tipul aleim and masav b'fachad. So when we identify ourselves with our collective identity, we're all one, this gives us a koyach against any opposition force, that it will be completely overwhelmed and it wouldn't even begin to come near, because they'll see that we are much, much bigger. And the Rebbe said the guy doesn't see it, but afagav the Elul chazi, the Mazal sees it. I just want to conclude with something which might be a milsa de bedichase, and maybe it's more than a milsa de bedichase. On Tisha B'Av, the person who is officially the head of the United Nations, which means that he's speaking in the name of the whole world, announced that we've just completed an era and a new era has arrived. What did we complete? We completed the era of global warming, and the era of global boiling has arrived. So I was thinking to myself, in davening we say, on Tisha B'Av, Be'esh hitzata, or Be'esh ata asad l'vneisa, the Eibush is sending down a Beis HaMikdash of fire, not a destructive fire, but a fire that brings light and warmth and bracha. So Beis HaMikdash is coming so close that the nations of the world announced that we're arriving to a new era where the world, the globe is boiling. Because when the Beis HaMikdash bet Nizgala, we'll see the whole world on fire with Avas Hashem, Avas HaTeira, and Avas Yisrael. So the Eibush to help should happen now with this Galas of the Rebbe Menachem Mashiach, take of Miyad Mamish.
Big Yashikoyach to Rabbi Majeski for sharing and connecting with the inyan of Geula, the fact that it's Hakhel and Oifen of Achtos, that we all become one. And take off from Yad Mamish will be Zirkind to the Geula Shloma. Amen. Tonight is a very special night. It's the Yom Chamisha Asar B'Av. And I would like to connect the Yom Chamisha Asar B'Av to the very fact that we have a Hakhel currently right now. What was so special and what is the Yom Tif of, says in the Gemara that there was no greater Yom Tif than today. And the Gemara gives a lot of reasons. It's in the very end of Mesechtas Tainus. And at the very end of Mesechtas Tainus, which is a Mesechta that speaks about a fast day, it speaks about how it's the greatest Yom Tif. And the very fact that we're coming from Tisha B'Av, says the Rebbe, based on the Tzemach Tzedek, that the very fact, why is this Yom Tif the greatest Yom Tif? He said, so tonight when you go outside, Kinalach, you'll look up, you'll look for the moon. If it's not cloudy outside, you might see the moon, but tonight's moon is different than yesterday and 2 nights ago, and it's different than tomorrow and the next night. Tonight's moon is going to be a full moon. And if you're going to be able to see, it's going to be the Kaima Sihara Ba'ashlemusa, you're going to see a complete moon. Yidden, we are doima, we are compared to the moon, and we count our calendar based on the moon. So when we have a full moon, it represents that Yidden are b'shleimus. And this inyan that the moon is b'shleimos and Yidden are b'shleimos today in Tesvav is the greatest yomtiv, more than Tesvav of Tammuz and Tesvav of the next yomtiv or the next month, all the Tesvavs of all the months. Explains the Rebbe in the MyMaor of Lo Yehoyu Yomim Tovim L'Yisrael, why is this Tesvav greater? Answers the Rebbe, because this Tesvav comes after the biggest downfall, after Tisha B'Av and after the Inyanim of the 3 weeks and the 9 days. So after in this month we just had the biggest Yerida, unfortunately the Churban is the greatest Aliyah, the complete Shleimus of the moon, which shows that Yidden are b'Shleimus, based on the fact that we're mining the Levana, and shows that Yidden are complete, is the greatest, because the lower the dip, the greater the high. The lower you get, if you go on a roller coaster, if you go very low, you're going to go very high. So the biggest Yerida brings us to the biggest Aliyah, and obviously that's the specialty. So what is it special connected to Hakhel today? So a few things to mention. There are two things that you can connect right away. Is it says that all the Shvatim were not allowed to intermarry. Shevet Reuven wasn't Shimon. Shimon can't marry into Yehuda. Sachar, all of them had to be separately. And it says on the very day of Tesvav V'Av, Yom Shehutru Shvatim Lovei Zeh B'Zeh, the day the Shvatim were able to marry. Of course, we know when it comes to Shidduchim, if there's a smaller range, it gets a lot more difficult. But when there's a wider range, it's a lot easier to find the Shidduch. So the very fact that Shvatim can chasana machen einem mit andere is showing in the Inyan of gathering. In other words, the Inyan of Yidden are gathering together, not even a Hakhel, not separated and segregated, the Adrab and Oifen of Hakhel. So you have that obviously connected. We'll speak more on this Inyan and the specialty, but Kinderlach, there's a very special video that is prepared. Thank you. All those kinderlach that are going to be quiet, there's a lolly that's going to be passed around. So if you're quiet, you're going to be getting a lolly. Don't forget to make a shahak oil, and you'll be able to get it. The very video that we're going to be seeing is a video that was prepared special from the MyMaor organization, specially for tonight's event in honor of the Hakhel. And being that the Hakhel is for men, women, and children, so obviously for the men and the women, there's Divrei Torah and Divrei Chizuk and stories, and for the children as well. And please follow on the video screen for the children as well.
Welcome, boys and girls, to the Grand Kinus Hakhel in 770. Here's a Rebbe video presentation made especially for you. Please sit respectfully and listen to the Dvar Hashem from the Melech.
Okay, Mr. Dog, let's climb all the steps. We're going to the base of Mikdash. Uh-oh, where's Chaya? Oh no, you can't walk up the steps because you hurt your toes? Help!
What's wrong, Basia?
My dog can't walk up the steps to the base of Mikdash because she hurt her toes. And now she's going to miss the mitzvah of Hakhel.
Don't worry, Basia. Hashem said she doesn't have to do the mitzvah of Hakhel.
But why? My doll is a Yid. She also wants to do this mitzvah.
I'm sure she does. But in the Gemara, it has a list of people who are exempt and don't have to come to Hakhel. And one of those people are people who have problems with their feet. Moshe, Levi, Musya, anyone able to help me bring this in?
And what on earth is this, Mendel? It's heavy.
It's hard.
This, my fellows, is my Hakhelator. It's from the Tishrei fair we had in my yeshiva. Look at this. See, when I drag the people together, I make a Hakhel gathering and get a point. The more Hakhel gatherings, the more points. And at some point in the game, there's a big boing, and all the mini Hakhel gatherings go together up to the Beis HaMikdash.
That sounds fake to me. I'm gonna organize an actual Hakhel gathering, not a game.
Hold up, Levi. This is real. I mean, the game isn't, but this is how Hakhel actually works.
What? Every time we make a Hakhel gathering, we get a point from Hashem?
I'm not sure about that.
which caused Hashem to make a gathering.
Broken toe.
You said Chaya doesn't have the mitzvah of Hakhel because she's, what's the word? Exempt.
Good remembering. In the times of Hakhel, the Gemara had a list of people who were exempt from Hakhel.
All my dolls, I'm ready to see everybody at Hashem's Hakhel, and with great simcha.
I'm here. What was so urgent?
Well, nothing really. I just wanted to show you what I collected at the musician's garage sale.
I guess we have a few minutes to go through it. This could be good if we fix the string.
A bit of glue and this thing could be as good as new. Or not.
It's Bendy. Hello? You're outside? We'll be there in a minute. We're bringing, stuff.
What Nagunim are we playing today, Sandy? My mind has been buzzing with Nagunim all day. My fingers are itching to play.
Let's just get this stuff in the garbage and we'll start. But does it have to do with Kinus Hakhel, as you can imagine?
Kinus Hakhel? Ellie, you sure did some sort of Hakhel here with gathering all the instruments on the East Coast. Not all the instruments. There were quite a few unfixable ones that I left at the garbage sale. I mean garage sale.
Either way, this wouldn't be Hashem's kind of Hakhel. We're throwing too much stuff out.
What do you mean Hashem's Hakhel? How does Hashem do Hakhel?
Like this.
I know that niggin. It's a freiliche niggin sung by Hasidim from the city of Klimovich.
That's right. And in honor of Hakhel, words were added to the niggin. The words talk about how Hashem will do the ultimate Hakhel and gather Yidden from all corners of the earth. People who are blind or crippled, mothers and children, every single Yid.
Even Yidden who listen to the Yetzer Hara a teeny bit, chas v'shalom?
Hashem will gather all of us, not throw us out like we did to the broken instruments.
Okay, I'm ready to play.
Let's watch this video of Kaisha Bracha by the Rebbe. It's from the end of Sukkot of Kinus Hakhel, Tav Shin Mem Aleph. And we're ready. Give it all you got. Zingin' Niggin' Band.
We have a very special guest, a shliach of the Rebbe in 5 towns, and Yid that's Meifetz Mayonis of Chassidus in ganz Welt, all over the world, with a very special dibur. The Eibishter benched him. We request to have our guest speaker, Rabbi Shais Taub, to join us in honor of today's Hakhel. Kinderlach, please find your seats quietly. Shh.
All right. I love the concept of the 1 hour Hakhel. I have a clock there, there, and there. Okay. All right. And there. And Kinderlach, keep your eyes on that clock and let me know when it's 7:57. Wave at me, okay? All right. There's a famous interaction, a famous video with the Rebbe in the Rebbe's house on President Street in Tavshin Memches after Chof Bei Shvat, after the Rebbe's passing, and people came to the Rebbe to be Menachem. The Rebbe gave dollars in his home. And one of the people who came to visit was a Jew from Bexley, Ohio, named Gordon Zaks, Olav Shalom. So he comes in, and what's famous about the interaction is that within a couple of seconds, the Rebbe picks up a conversation with him that they left off 19 years previously, and they hadn't seen each other or been in contact for those 19 years. And so Gordon Zaks is shocked, and he's taken aback, and he says, "You're amazing, you're amazing." He keeps saying, "The Rebbe is amazing. It's 19 years we haven't spoken, and you picked up the conversation right where we left off." And the background to the story, what was the conversation 19 years previously, is that this Gordon Zaks had given a speech to the United Jewish Appeal about starting a $100 million endowment for Jewish education. And after that speech, he had Yechidus with the Rebbe. And in this Yechidus, the Rebbe was prevailing upon Mr. Zaks to spend the money. He should raise the money that he set out to raise, but then he should spend it in the right way. Meaning, there are various different definitions of Jewish education. So he said he wants to raise $100 million for Jewish education, but he didn't necessarily define Jewish education the way that the Rebbe would define proper Jewish education. So the Rebbe was trying to prevail upon him to spend the money properly, and he was arguing a little bit about the fact that American Jewry aren't ready for orthodoxy, and so we have to give them other forms of Jewish education. And at one point in the Yechidus, the Rebbe says to him, "Do you remember what Zorba the Greek said to the college student?" Now you're going to say, "Taub, you're coming into 770 and quoting Zorba the Greek," which is a novel. The Rebbe spoke about Zorba the Greek in 770. Not down here, but in the Rebbe's room. So no, I never read the book, but it's a book. And apparently the Rebbe knew his customers, he knew he was speaking to, and he understood that for Gordon Zaks, reference to Zorba the Greek would be effective. What's the proof? That decades later, he was telling this story, he remembered it. So he says, the Rebbe said to me, he told me, "Do you remember what Zorba the Greek says to the college student?" He says, "What good are all your fancy books if you don't even know how to live life?" So Gordon Zaks says, the Rebbe said to him, "What good is all your intellect, all your knowledge, and you don't know how to live?" Then the Rebbe said to him, "You're trying to think your way to God, and it's not possible. You can't think your way to the infinite. It's something that has to be experienced. It's something that has to be lived. Stop trying to think your way there and live it." And then the Rebbe said, "And I'll help you with that. I will give you somebody, I'll send you one of my chassidim to go home with you and to live with you for a year, so that you can live a Jewish life for a year. Instead of trying to think your way there, you'll live your way there, and that's the only way to do it. Will you take me up on my offer?" And you know what Gordon Zaks told the Rebbe? "I'll think about it." I'll think about it, right? The Rebbe says, you can't think your way to the infinite. You got to live it. And what do you say to that? "I'll think about it." Okay. Matan Torah, from an educational perspective, was not a very well-organized class. It wasn't a very good Torah class. It should have been divided for different levels of intellect, for different levels of background, and have different teachers. It should have been done in a way that You know, you wouldn't take all the kids in a whole school and put them all in one class. And the reality is that Matan Torah was not a Torah class. It wasn't for teaching Torah. It was for having a lived experience of Torah, after which you can go and learn Torah. In other words, the point of Matan Torah was not to teach Torah, but to give people a real experience. Thunder and lightning. A real, lived, empirical, undeniable, sensorial experience. After which you can go open the book and find out what Torah has to teach you. So the basis of our entire Yiddishkeit is an experience. Something we all lived. And because of that, it transcends all the different categories you normally have when you're studying. When you're studying, so you group the students according to different classes, according to different skill levels. You teach them different subjects, different levels of depth, because that's how a class works. But when you have an experience, then everybody has the same experience. It transcends all the different categories and all the levels. Toward the very end of his life, Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned about a new generation of Jews who were not at Matan Torah, and although they could learn Torah, they never had the experience. They never lived through that event. So Moshe Rabbeinu created something called Hakhel. And the purpose of Hakhel was not to teach Torah, but to give people a Torah experience. That's why if you look in the Rambam, in Hilchas Chagiga Perek Gimel, the Rambam describes Hakhel in a very interesting way. You have the king reading from the Torah, and yet there's no microphone, there's no PA system, they don't have speakers, and not everybody can hear. The Rambam mentions the people who can't hear, they should just try to imagine that they're standing at Har Sinai, but they can't even hear. The Rambam also mentions people who can hear but they can't understand. He says there are people there who are newly converted and they don't know Lashon HaKodesh and they can't understand the Kriyas HaTorah. That's fine. They should also just have in mind that it's like they're at Matan Torah. And then there's another group, the Chachomim Gedolim, for whom Kriyas HaTorah is not Limud HaTorah. These are people who are shaykh to much deeper learning. They should stand there and listen to Chumash. But again, it's not a Torah class. So you have Chachomim Gedolim for whom this reading is way beneath their level of study. You have newly converted Jews for whom this level of study is actually too advanced. And then you have people who Pashat Begashmis physically cannot hear. Rebbe Menachem Galitsky should have a lot of nachas from Mendy. I don't know if he organized the whole thing, but he brought me here. Mendy Galitsky brought me here. Come on out. Can you come out? You're going to have a lived experience. Come here. Come now. All right. So the point is that Hakhel is an experience. Like the Rebbe told Gordon Zaks, you can't think your way to this thing, you have to live it. You have to live it. Once upon a time, not so long ago, in recent history, there was a Hakhel in this very spot on a regular basis. And you could bring any Jew to this place. I mean, it's terrifying, actually. I just realized how closely I'm standing to the actual spot. the Rebbe would verbring from this spot, and people from the greatest Chachomim Gedolim to people who couldn't understand a word that the Rebbe was saying because they didn't speak Yiddish, would all stand in this mokim and experience Elokus. Not listen to a shir from a Rosh Hashiva. It wasn't a class. It was Gili Elokus, like by Matan Torah. Matan Torah was not a shir from a Rosh Hashiva. Matan Torah was Gili Elokus. Seeing and hearing and feeling and living. And that's what happened here. I'm going to say something, and it's only on my achrayas. And then I won't be invited to speak in 770 again. Moshe Rabbeinu took care of the idea there should be a Hakhel. And he set it up for us. The Rebbe took care of the idea that when there would not be Fabrengens, there would not be a place to bring every single Jew to experience the revelation of godliness in a palpable, empirical, bodily, sensorial way. The Rebbe gave us the keys. He turned over the secret to us and charged us with being the Hakhel Melech and creating lived experiences. Real, lived, sensorial Judaism. And that we will continue with these marching orders until the world will be transformed. And what will happen when Mashiach comes? No one will ever have to learn about God from a book. Thank you, Kinderlach. I'm wrapping up in 5 seconds. I heard you. No one will ever again have to learn about God from a book. They will look at the world and they will see that nothing but Hashem is real.
Grace Yashakaya for Rabbi Shais Taub sharing with us about the living experience and making a Hakhel real and how we can continue the Rebbe's of mission. And each of us, please make sure that you continue making Hakhels. There is going to be on the way out, there's going to be a place that you can you can write a card and you can mala the Rebbe's Hayra of being mishtatif in Hakhels. The Rebbe requested that we should make a Siyum. We have this chus that by this Hakhel, being that this Hakhel is within, right before the Chamisha Asa Ba'av, the Rebbe requested that by these days we should make a Siyum. We're going to be hearing a Siyum shortly from a Bacher. Today's Hakhel, will be a big, first of all, next month in Mitzvah Shem there'll be a Hakhel as well. And today's Hakhel is a big Yashikoyach for the Gaboim of the Shul and to Ma'arganim. I'm Atam Meir Moshe Alevi Altman, Yashikoyach Atam Mendel Gerlitsky, Yashikoyach Reb Yonason Hackner, and Yashikoyach Atam Shmuel Butler. Mazal Tov for helping and being mishtatif. Atam Shmuli Shuchat for a baby boy. Yashikoyach and Mazal Tov for that. The Siyum Mesechtas is going to be from the Chaver Koilel, from Reb Mordechai Zirkind, Siyum Mesechtas Yevomos. Quiet. Okay. Okay. Say something or I can say something. 8 o'clock I'm going to wrap. Okay. No, it's whatever. Okay. Go ahead.
Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Chanina, Tamid Chachamim, Am Shalom Elam. The Gemara ends off Yekesachas Yevomos saying that Tamid Chachamim they are Marba Shalim. Shenemar says in the Apostle Menachem Modi Hashem, V'Rav Shalom Menachem. As a state of Tamid Chachamim they are Marba Shalim from the Apostle Menachem Modi Hashem. Hadin Allah Yekesachas Yevomos. Halach Yishrab.
In the meantime, we will make the raffle.
Okay.
We have a.
What?
Yeah.
We're getting ready for the raffles as we're nearing 8 o'clock, and we want to make sure that this should be taking place within an hour. And Please make sure that you have your tickets. There are 4 raffles. A big shikoyach for Rebbe Avram Rotman, the Ma'argin of Irgun Toida, for sponsoring and being shtatif of these prizes. Thank you, Rebbe Avram. Every single day throughout the summer months for Anash, there's a shir in the shul on Mishkan, the shul on Crown Street, in the Oil Nassan shul on Crown between in the base Medrash on Crown Street, 8:15 till 9:30 on a regular night basis, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. There's going to be the following raffles. There's a drone, there's a scooter, there's a large scooter. So there's 2 scooters, a smaller scooter, and then there's going to be a large scooter. And of course, the grand raffle is going to be Sfarim that you're going to be able to pick up in Sassav or Sfarim. It's a gift card. So let's get ready for the raffle tickets. Please make sure you have raffle tickets. Kenlach, you can't stand up as well. Sit down. You ready for Kaddish? He's going to say Kaddish, and right afterwards we're going to get the raffle gun.
Iskadash, Meraba, Bamad Vekhadas, Vambakhos, Vasbakada, Vekadamishe, Ramein. Ich bin aber Rachlal, da mal mais. Barach bestab, was wir wissen nasse. Wir wissen das los mit der Gosche Brücho. Hätten wir kabel khas bishlas, ich khas nach mas in der Moment mit Ramein. Ich sah aber bald mit der was in der Dema. Kadam ask man ist, die was mit der khas was sei, da ich sta Rabbi, khid wir nach wir rechnen, sind wir. Kadam kadam wollen wir schmei mit Ramein. Ich sah Rabbi mit der Kai so mit Ramein. Ich sah mit der Kai Amen.
Hier den meine wir bei einem Schach und Wald. Hier meine wir bei einem Schach und Wald. Hier bei einem Schach und Wald.
And the winner on the small scooter, we're going to call up the following Bachar. Please say Mashiach now when you hear your number. 4, 7, 0, 8, 7. And the last number is 3. The last 3 numbers, 873. It's a green ticket, 873. Do we have a winner? 873. Do we have a winner? Do we have a winner? Do we have a winner? We are going to be waiting 10 seconds. In the meantime, we're going to ask Mendel, Abacher, Atamim, Arav, to be able to. This is for the next one. This is going to be on the drone. Small scooter. We're waiting another few seconds. 873, 873, 873, 873. It's a green ticket. Next, this is going to be on the drone. On the drone. 4, 7, 0, 9, 2. Okay, and the last number is 0. 920, 920. We have a winner on the drone. We have a winner on the drone. One of the Kinus Hakhel Rebbe coming up. He has it. 920 is the winner. Which one is it? 920. 920. Yishikoyach. And the next winner is going to be on the large scooter. We don't yet know who's the winner on the small scooter, so we're going to be making that raffle next. And the following is the number 4, 7, 0, 9, 5, 3, 9, 5, 3. And the large scooter. Big Yeshikayach to Rebbe Avram for sponsoring.
If you have the winning numbers.
Ask the photographer. Okay, we still have a raffle on Sfarim, and if we don't have a winner on the small scooter is going to be
Giving back to Rabbi Rabbi.
We're not giving.
We're on the farm.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Say,
Okay, let's go. 837?
no, 873. Okay, a winner of the gift certificate in Sassaver Sfarim, Ken Kaif and Sfarim. It says that from tonight, the nights are going to get longer. And from Tezvav of, we have to have a kviyus and learning. The following number is 4, 7, 0, 9, 2. And the last number is 1, 921 on store. 921. I'm going to raffle off that scooter. Do 921.
Okay, Rabbi, got
The Bensi Gopin is here. 921. Okay, we're going to be raffling off that small scooter because no one else came to claim it. And the following winner is 4710. And the last number is 6. 006, that's going to be the winner. Yashakoyach for everybody. We are going to give the microphone over. Go ahead.
Yashakoyach Rabbi Wilhelm for being a wonderful MC. For those who last summer there was a fundraising for Kel Tferes Kenim Levi Yitzchak, and those who gave a certain amount of money are going into a raffle for a bottle of mashke that the Rebbe gave personally to my father.